Hi, I'm Joe Logan from myphillygolf.com, and I'm here today with a special guest, Jeff Silverman. Jeff, as some of you may know, is a very established golf writer. He, like me, was a newspaper hack for many years, and he was a screenwriter in Hollywood. And for the past 15 or so years, he lived in suburban Philadelphia and has written books and many magazine articles for Sports Illustrated and various golf magazines. His latest and one of his most ambitious projects is a history of the Merion East Course, where the 2013 U.S. Open will be held in June.
I guess it was 2007, 2008. I got a call from Philadelphia Magazine asking me to do a piece on how Merion got the Open, because, as we all know who have followed this for years, followed Merion's ups and downs for years, if anybody said in the early 1990s that Merion would one day host another U.S. Open, probably send you out to the funny farm. But Merion did a major concerted effort to get itself back on track, improve the golf course, improve its relationships with the U.S. Golf Association, and through a few testing processes along the way, passed everyone with flying colors. And there was a good bit of support within the U.S. Golf Association to bring the course back to historical venues, even if they're not 36,000 yards in length, and which of course Merion isn't. And so when it was announced, about a year after it was announced that Merion got the Open, Philadelphia Magazine asked me to do the piece. That led to a series of discussions with Merion about perhaps doing another book following the earlier versions of their club history, which is called Golf at Merion, the first one by Richard Heilman, the second one by Desmond Tolhurst. And we began from there. And my concept of it was slightly different, which is, instead of a traditional club history, to really be a championship history of the club, because so much amazing stuff has happened on that golf course.
Jeff, tell me a little about what makes Merion East such a special course.
There's a lot, actually. I think one of the key things is, going back to the beginning, is Merion tapped one of its members, a rather remarkable guy named Hugh Wilson, to do it. Wilson was an amateur. Back in those days, in 1912, of course, actually was begun to be thinking about in 1910. It was actually opened in 1912. Back in those days, there was really no such thing in America as a golf course architect. Usually there were guys who would come through and literally stick 18 stakes in the ground on a Sunday. And of course Charles B. McDonald changed all of that with the National at Eastern Long Island, and the Phoneses did it in Pittsburgh with Oakmont. And there were occasionally some much better courses. Travis was working, but these were all amateurs. These were not professional designers. These were members of the club who had a real self-interest in making a great course. And what Wilson did was build a course, design a course, build a course, and then stuck with it over the next 15 to 13 years until he died, constantly refining it. For example, when Merion opened, there were only, I think, 7 or 8 bunkers on the entire golf course. Now, when you think about Merion, what you think about is the white faces, those fabulous 133 bunkers that kind of go all over the property. Well, it turns out that those bunkers weren't really put in until just before the 1916 Amateur. And what Wilson would do would go out there with William Flynn, who was the assistant superintendent, and also, actually, William Flynn was the assistant superintendent, and also the Wilson's kind of assistant in creating what he was doing there, and they would go out and they would hit golf shots, and Wilson would hit the golf shots, and Joe Valentine and William Flynn would be in the distance. And Joe, of course, later became the superintendent after Flynn left. They would hit golf shots in the distance, and they would see where things landed, where a good player hit shots, and put the bunkers strategically in those kinds of areas by laying white sheets down and then dig the bunkers. So it wasn't that this course opened up exactly as it is today. It's evolved significantly through the years. In the 20s, 3 original holes, 10, 11, and 12, all crossed over Ardmore Avenue. In the early 20s, that changed. They incorporated the first hole
3 minutes
onto the one side of Ardmore Avenue, and all the rest of the holes through 12 onto the other side. Nothing crossed anymore. So they were never afraid to make changes. They saw the golf course, and the club has always seen the course as an evolving, living organism. Similarly, in the 1990s, when the course had some trouble with greens, it gave them an opportunity to relook at the golf course again. And the club realized that 1930, the year of the amateur, that Bobby Jones finished the Grand Slam, was the high point of golf. And so they decided they would bring the course back to play to what it played that year at that time. If bunkers were there, they stayed. If bunkers were not there, they left. Trees, gone. Greens, refine those greens, bring those greens back. And that's what they did. They treated the golf course as a living organism, and I think that's been a big thing. It had good bones to start with, and it's just gotten better through time.